Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of Project Spotlight. My name is Aerosounds, and I'm joined again today by Mosty. Hello, Mosty.
Cheerio, old chap.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Sounds just like me. How was your holiday on the beach, Mosty? Didn't you go on like an expensive cruise around the world?
Yeah, the only difference is that I had to stay inside because I was sick all week.
Well, yeah, sorry to
Other
hear
than
you're
that,
ill, mate. Good to
yeah,
have you back on the podcast, though.
thanks.
even if you've transformed into an English person. And you may have heard giggling in the background. We've also got Jane. Hello, Jane.
Hello.
How are you today?
I doubt that anybody could hear my giggling, but I'm doing good, thank you.
Excellent. Well, we've got another good podcast lined up. We've got loads of news to talk about and some games we've been playing as well. So let's get straight into the news. We'll start with one of your stories, Mosty, shall we?
All right. So Valve has a VR headset that's coming out. So it has been leaked on one of their store pages. So it's not yet official yet, but it's gonna be announced pretty soon, basically, because it's probably gonna release in June this year. So. The most interesting parts about it are that it has a field of view vision of 135 degrees compared to 110 on the Vive and the Oculus Rift. So that's a little bit better.
That does sound quite
Well,
good,
a
yeah.
lot better actually. So that sounds interesting. And the other part is, of course, it's gonna come with the Steam VR Knuckles. And the important part about that is that it has a grip sensor. So basically, when you release your grip on the controller, that will actually be an action. So for instance, you could use that to actually drop something in the game,
That's pretty cool.
for instance. So there's the possibility to have an action linked to releasing your grip and then bringing back in your fingers as well, if I understood correctly. So that sounds really good, actually. So
So,
that's really an improvement, I think, compared to other stuff
yeah,
that's
When you said
around.
when you said knuckles, I thought of a knuckle duster.
I thought of Sonic and Knuckles.
Punch people into VR.
Well, I mean, if it could track your fingers, that is a big improvement. Because when you said the sensation of picking up and dropping things, that is pretty impressive too. But I've used the HTC Vive, and what their controllers have triggers on them. So you use kind of like your trigger finger to hold and release a button, and so you would use that to grab something and release it to let go. So it does kind of feel like that already, but it would be quite a big improvement if they could put it into some kind of glove. That would be awesome.
Yeah, as far as I understood, it's linked to your grip, right? So you're bringing back your fingers, and then your fingers touching the controller again would be another action, as far as I understood. I'm gonna have to wait and see. And then you get a haptic feedback if the action is successful.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
I really want to try VR. It's just I don't have the money or the setup for it right now.
Yeah.
It's
I'm getting interested into it. I'm getting warmed up to
Yeah,
it.
me too. I've tried a VR headset for the first time last week,
oh wow.
but it was what's it called? Size One. You know that size that makes lenses.
Ah,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
I've not heard of
And
that one.
Zeiss.
unfortunately, we borrowed this one, so I don't. Yeah, it didn't have a button or anything on the headset, so but it required to have one when you know it's one of those where you put your phone inside the headset and then I don't know you can watch stuff.
Yeah, I
And I
gotcha.
tried it. It looked cool. It was the first time I looked through a VR headset. But unfortunately, I couldn't do anything without any buttons,
Oh
so it
right.
was quite useless. But yeah, I also got warmed up because of that experience, and I looked up some headsets and wanted to get a feeling for the price and stuff like that. So, um, and I think it's time for a new generation of VR headsets, you know, with improvements, and so I'm kind of excited as well.
Well, I don't have the specific details, but I do know that Oculus announced their 2 new headsets at GDC, so a couple of weeks ago.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
did they announce two?
Yeah,
the Oculus Quest, and what's the other one then?
it's like an Oculus Pro, I think. Yeah, I don't have the details here, but
Oh, okay.
the Quest is the one without wires, so it's wireless, but it is less powerful. And I think the new Oculus, I can't remember what it's called, is just a much stronger version of it. But it didn't seem like a huge upgrade in terms of the technology. It was still going to be playing the same game. So games, you can still play games developed for it on the old headsets, if you see what I mean. It's not a new console leap. I think what they were, it was better in terms of how comfortable it sat on your face, etc. But yeah, that's interesting. Oculus has got 2 new ones. I was just going to say, I was a little bit disappointed. It didn't feel like a new generation.
Okay.
Okay.
Although the Quest, having no wires is a pretty big step up. But
That's true.
Yeah. The main issue for me is the motion sickness. If they have some kind of solution for that to make the experience more smoother, then I'm in.
Yeah.
I don't care at which price it comes. I'm in.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
I've told you guys that I used it, but I was completely sold on it when I tried the Vive, and I just haven't been able to pick one up. I think the longer you wait, the better, though, to be honest.
Yeah, same with the foldable phones. We've been talking
Yeah.
about that last time. We should probably just wait until they solve issues like the motion sickness and so yeah.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about that because I was going to say I didn't experience any motion sickness, which I was quite worried about. But everybody's different in that regard.
Me neither. I mean, I didn't see much. Like I said, I couldn't interact with it, so it was just
It also depends on
standing
the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the speed and where the screen's going, etc.
It really has to be developed for VR. So the other stuff I wanted to talk about it is that it requires DisplayPort 1.2 and USB 2, so that's fine. I think everybody has that. But for the pass-through camera, you need USB 3. I'm
Okay.
not sure what that pass-through camera is all about, to be honest. I tried to look it up, but the strange thing about this headset is though that it's going to have adjustable lenses, which are usually only found on the lower end devices. And I think this device is more high range, so that's a bit weird. The minimum specs are very attainable: dual core hyper-threading CPU, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and as graphics cards GTX 970, so that's NVIDIA from the past generation of NVIDIA, and then AMD RX 480. So that's really attainable to a lot of people, I think.
That's from 2 generations ago, right? Did you say 970 or 1070 NVIDIA?
970.
Yeah, that's 2 generations away.
Yeah, 2 generations now. Yeah, that's right.
That's quite interesting that they'd be so low because we're talking about motion
but
sickness.
those are the minimum specs, right? So the recommended specs are quad core, which is also still very attainable, I think, for most people, and the GTX 1070. So that's a step up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because when we were talking about the motion sickness, a lot of it's to do with the frame rate as well. So if you don't have a good enough computer to run at a stable frame rate, that's what causes a lot of motion sickness, from what I've heard as well.
Yeah, indeed. It's only Windows 10 though, so I was kind of disappointed about that. No Linux support, and they're gonna call it the Valve Index. Oh my god, what a bad product name.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe they find the marketing department or something. I'm definitely gonna offer my services to them to come up with some names for them. But
yeah, I don't know.
It
It's
seems
not
like
easy.
they need some help.
What about Water Lizard?
Yes, Water Lizard Jane. Yes.
I was thinking the Valve Virtuo or the Valve Vision.
Nah, that's terrible.
That's way better than.
No, you're right. It's way better.
And I think even at this point, Valve Middle Finger would have been better than Valve Index. But okay.
Well, they're competing. They're only competing with Stadia, aren't they? Right? So for names, so they haven't got much work to do.
Yeah, and talking about bad product names, Sony is going to come out with a new controller, a foot motion controller, which seems very interesting actually. So you have to use that one in combination with the VR headset, and it looks like a balance board. So you have to put your feet onto it, and then you can tilt and turn, and that's linked to actions into the game. So
So like the
it's like
Wii,
an extra controller, and then you have more freedom with your hands to do other stuff.
that's quite cool. So like the Wii balance board. Do you remember that?
Yes, sort of, but for this one you have to sit down.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not supposed to be something you stand on. You have to sit down, and that's also already the downside, in my opinion, because if you want to use it, you have to sit in this position, the fixed position all the time. So I'm not sure if it's gonna break any waves, but it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, it
That's
Um,
is.
and it's
yeah,
gonna
that would.
come supported for 25 games at the start. So I'm not sure if that's those titles are big names or not or anything like that, but only
As,
25 games at the start.
as somebody who puts their feet up on their chair when sitting and playing games, I don't think it's something for me.
No.
Yeah, I
Unless
know.
they could
I
put it
like
on a chair.
displacing my legs a lot as well. So,
Yeah.
and it's gonna come in at 120 euros and or pounds. So,
Well, that's quite expensive.
Yeah.
yeah.
So it sounds like not hardcore, but people who are sold on the VR right now are going to be the ones who are going to buy it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
I
a
mean,
niche product, but
I think those things are great with for racing games maybe, but I'm sure there are already uh, some things like that. No,
yeah, I don't know for
for a
the
lower price.
PS4 though.
Oh yeah, you're right, for a PC. Well, but
It's
those aren't that
it's
expensive, right?
this thing is only for PS4 in
Oh, okay.
combination with the headset from Sony.
So I don't think it's
Nice.
like pedals, Jane, like in a racing game. Is it?
Uh-huh.
Oh no
Is
no
it?
no no!
Yeah. Is it different? How does it? What does it look like, Mosty? Is it like
It's a board.
a
It's like
flat board
a
and it?
round board. You put your feet on it, and then you can tilt and swivel and turn it.
Yeah. Okay. So it's got lots of possibilities.
Yeah, it depends on the game, right?
Hmm.
What actions it's linked to in the game.
So
But for instance, you could like put your feet forward, so your heels up and the top of your toes down, and then you would go down
Hmm.
in the game,
yeah.
like when you're flying, or
You
vice
think it
versa.
could? You think it could somehow simulate walking at some point?
Uh, yeah, for instance, if you like turn left and right all the time, but that was gonna be aggravating, I think. So, um,
Have to see what the
yeah, maybe
developers come
no,
up
no,
with.
no, maybe because you can tilt it to the left and then tilt it to the right. So like a really fine-grained walking motion. Yeah, maybe.
It
I
could,
honestly think we aren't that far away from like VR experience with some sort of device that can kind of track your motion and say when you're walking in real life. I think I've seen a video like that on YouTube a while ago where a girl is playing a horror game, I think, and she's walking. She's in this weird device, and the game picks up her motion. And I think we aren't too far away from that, to be honest.
yeah.
And with boards like that could be the start of it,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. It would be pretty interesting. You just got to have a room big enough to play it in. Otherwise, you'd
Yeah,
walk
perhaps.
walk straight into your TV. So this is quite an interesting story because, from what I understand, PlayStation VR is the weakest headset, but it's very comfortable, and it's got a lot of games on it that are really good. So they've really been supporting it, and it's actually a good purchase now with the games you can get. But the huge downside, is that they have PlayStation Move controllers, which was something that came out on the PS3. So they don't have, like, the Oculus Rift and the Vive have these really good motion controllers, and they don't have that with PlayStation. So a lot of the time you have to use your DualShock controller. So I'm surprised they're going for this foot motion rather than an actually upgrading their controllers, which is what seems to be one of the biggest downsides of their headset. But
Yeah,
Oh yeah, but
seems like they have weird priorities.
yeah.
I'm not even sure if Sony themselves developed it. To be honest, it sounds more like some third party that did it for them.
Oh, okay.
And I also didn't mention the name right. So the name is 3D Rudder.
3D rudder.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Now I understand why you said. Speaking of weird names.
3D.
Yeah, I kind of had a big build up to that.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
More excited.
motion controller for PSVR, June 17th release. Okay. Wow. And you know what? I imagine this to be like when you were saying you can sit on it and simulate walking and stuff. I just imagine like an old lady who can't walk anymore, just sat in a chair, just with this on the floor, like wiggling around.
Yeah, maybe in a couple of years, in all the retirement homes, you're gonna see all these old folks with VR headsets and these boards
Well, I mean,
all
it's
day.
people who can't. I think VR opens up a lot of possibilities for people who can't or who
I
aren't
just wanted
mobile.
to say the same thing. Yeah, imagine. I mean, if you maybe you can't walk anymore, and you can
Yeah.
just put on a VR headset and then and simulate walking, and it could. I don't know. I think it could definitely help those people somehow.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well
Yeah.
that's pretty interesting. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about those, Mosty?
Uh, no, I think well, it's not really sure whether the Valve index is gonna be tethered or not. I didn't really find any information on that. So because we were talking about the Quest
Yeah.
being wireless, it's not quite sure what the Valve index is going to be.
Well, that's a good point, really, because if Valve comes out with a headset and it's not as good as the HTC Vive, or which I thought Valve partnered with HTC on the Vive, but I might
Yeah,
be wrong on that.
yeah.
And
No,
also,
that's right.
it is right, yeah. And the Oculus as well. If it's not as good as either of those, it's like, well, don't bring it to the market then. I mean, I don't think anyone would buy it unless they make Half-Life 3 for it. And then they would sell it. Which, maybe they will. Or a Portal game. Portal would be awesome.
Steam exclusive.
Yeah. No, Half-Life 3 exclusive to the Epic Store.
Yeah, that would be funny.
All right. Well, I've got a story as well. I wanted to move on to also about VR, and this is the Nintendo Labo VR that I talked about a few weeks ago, actually. So this is coming out on the 11th, Nintendo Labo, and it's a much cheaper way to use VR. It's only if you just want the headset, which is just cardboard, by the way. But if you just want the basic set, it's $40 compared to the hundreds of dollars for the competitors. And at the time, it looked like they would just be having lots of Nintendo mini games, and that is basically what they've talked about. Which will be fun. It'll be a good way to introduce children to VR, maybe. But maybe you don't really want to splash out just to play those. But recently, they've announced that on the 25th of April, there'll be free updates to both Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild and also Super Mario Odyssey to include VR support with this new headset. So on Mario Odyssey, there'll be some bite-sized experiences. So to me, that sounds like more mini games that are just going to be in Mario Odyssey. But with Legend of Zelda, you can play the whole game in VR. So that's pretty big news, I think, because I wasn't expecting them to actually implement it into their main franchises at all, because it was kind of this side Labo project. But
Would that mean Zelda in first person?
Yeah, I think so.
Odd. I can't even imagine that.
I
to be
don't
honest.
know. Yeah, I'm not sure how it would work, but you've played it, haven't you? Breath of the Wild, Jane.
Yes.
And I think playing that in VR could be awesome.
Yeah, it could be. Definitely. I'm just thinking about Zelda in first person because it's such a weird concept to me because I'm so used to playing it in third person.
Yeah. Well, you can play VR games in third person. So
No,
maybe
wait, it doesn't make sense then, though.
it does kind of, but you're right. It's not. It's a different experience. But if you're playing with a controller and you've got the main character and your headset is just looking around the world, and presumably you could look away from where your character is. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they implement it. Whether it will be first person, but it's just a it's like a seamless experience. You just go to the menu, switch it over to VR, and put the headset on. And if you want to switch back, you just switch back. So that's pretty cool. And it's all free update for people who have already got Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty interesting. But what I'm a bit concerned about is I talked about before with Mosty's story about the frame rates. Now, from my understanding, when you play Legend of Zelda and Breath of the Wild in handheld mode, my understanding is it hovers around 30 FPS and sometimes struggles a bit because it's quite a big game.
Okay, so that could cause motion sickness more than.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, will it be a smooth experience if you've got the headset on? I don't know, but I doubt Nintendo would have put that effort into it if it wasn't worthwhile. So it'd be really interesting to see. But
yeah, I
Maybe
think
they're gonna sell it with some motion sickness pills combined.
made out of cardboard.
Problem solved. Yeah.
Just swallow this cardboard pill.
Yeah.
You're gonna be fine.
You have to make it first.
Okay. I got a question. Are there any electronics in the VR set from Nintendo?
I think just the goggles, which aren't actually electronic. I don't know what it is. So the goggles are made out of cardboard, but they also have the lenses in them, etc. But no, I don't think there's any extra electronics. It's a wireless thing that you just put your Switch into.
So, I mean, stupid question, but can't you just make that yourself? DIY a headset?
I think you need the goggles. I think you need the actual lenses and the plastic that goes in the goggles. I don't think it's just a cardboard. You don't think you just put your Switch in front of your face.
Well,
I don't know actually. I've never used it, so you might be right.
I mean, I don't want to shit on Nintendo's headset, you know, but it just looks like you can just cut it out of a cardboard. Just put some goggles inside, some lenses inside, maybe your glasses. You're good to go. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know how it works, to be honest. I'm pretty ignorant.
Well, it's a good point though, because that is a concern of this technology. This is very much the same sort of technology that goes into the headset you were talking about that you use your mobile phone with. It's very similar to that type of stuff. So a lot of people are like, well, you know, it's not the experience you can get out of Oculus. But if they're putting it in The Legend of Zelda and it works well, then I'm quite excited about that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Yeah.
Because I think they're just testing the waters, right? It's their first steps into VR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's normal that it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just exciting that they're doing that, because I thought potentially it was just going to be the Labo's like a side project, and it was just going to be some just a couple of games, like mini games. But they seem to be. This is good news that they're kind of putting some proper support into it.
Although when I read Labo, I think lobotomy. I don't know why. I just associate with.
Okay.
Anyway,
the Nintendo lobotomizer.
Well, what do you think when you
now in store?
What do you think about the Nintendo Wii then?
I know what I think about the Nintendo Wii.
Don't start with that again.
Yeah, that was a glimpse into my weird mind. Okay, we can move on.
Okay. All right. Yes. So it's just a small story.
Valve, don't hire Jane to come up with names.
Nintendo lobotomizer. I like it.
The Nintendo lobotomized.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's all right. Just to finalize, the headset comes out on the 11th, and these updates come out on the 25th of April. So not long until we find out. It'll be interesting to see if they're good. But just a small story. So we can move on now to something from Jane's side. Jane, what have you got to talk about?
I've got some rumors again, because I always come up with the rumors, and I found something on Kotaku.com, and apparently there were some possible teasers for the next Assassin's Creed in The Division 2. They found some posters with what looked like a Norse god or a traveler holding the Apple of Eden, which is a very important item in Assassin's Creed 1 and 2. I don't even know if it's still in Assassin's Creed 3, but I don't think so. Anyway, and also on the posters, it's it says Valhalla, which kind of indicates that it could be the next Assassin's Creed could be about Vikings. And Kotaku also talked to two independent sources, some insiders apparently, who confirmed this and who said that the next Assassin's Creed is going to be about Vikings and set in the Viking universe, I want to say. And so yeah, I am. People are relieved because there were also rumors about the next Assassin's Creed being set in Rome, and they said it would be too similar probably to the previous one, which was set in Greece. And people seem to be very excited for this Viking theme, and I mean, I'm not sure if I'll jump back into the Assassin's Creed franchise with the next game, but I'm also intrigued and curious about what it's going to look like, and maybe if they bring the Apple of Eden back and the original story, because then I'm sold.
Yeah, I mean, that does sound quite interesting because they've done a good job in the last two. From critically, they've done well, and especially the last setting was apparently really good in Greece. The Vikings are always a good setting for games. That'll be really interesting, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, people love the past games, especially Odyssey, and I pronounced it weirdly, but okay.
No, that's right, Odyssey.
No, it's fine.
And so yeah, but you know me, I want the original story back, and seeing that there is the Apple of Eden on the posters in the game, in Division 2, kind of gets my hopes up again. But it's still just a rumor, it's still maybe just a teaser. Who knows? Maybe it was just to show this is about Assassin's Creed, and yeah, doesn't have anything to do with the original story. Who knows? And also, Ubisoft declined to comment about that, so it's still just a rumor. It's not confirmed, but enough to get a little bit of hype up, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because I think Ubisoft has done this before in their games.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure they have.
They have quite a long history of teasing their future games in the current ones.
Yeah,
they've been doing that a lot, so
it's probably true.
So is this Assassin's Creed going to be called Assassin's Creed For Honor, or?
Yeah.
Well, according to these sources, it does have a code name, which is Kingdom.
All right.
Okay. So it could be anything.
Could be anything, exactly.
Do you think? No, go ahead. Sorry.
But Ubisoft did confirm that they're going to skip 2019, and the next Assassin's Creed will come out in 2020. So maybe they're working on something a little bit bigger than who knows.
That was going to be my exact question. Was do you think it's coming this year, or do we have to wait? So that's quite.
Well, I can read your mind, so.
Yeah, you did. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, I like that. I applaud that. They made some.
But I can read your mind.
No, I don't like that. I like that they're taking a break because they've made that mistake in the past where they just release them over and over again, and it's just
exactly.
And you know what? Ubisoft's in a really good place, and a lot of big publishers have got some bad reputations at the moment, but Ubisoft just seems to keep bringing out some decent games. Like Division 2 has been very well received in terms of how well it finished it was, how much content's there. Yes, people have got complaints as always, but compared to other live service games, this one's been done very well. The Assassin's Creeds have been very good recently. I know Far Cry has been quite well. Far Cry 5 was quite well done. So yeah, they pretty quietly gone about their business and made some pretty good games in recent years. Not enough to interest me to buy them, but in terms of where they have been in the past, I think their reputation of making good games at the moment is quite good.
Yeah, it looks like they improved a lot, especially compared to those times where they released the most hated Assassin's Creed games, which was Unity and Assassin's Creed 3. Especially because they were bugged and stuff like that. But I think they kind of, they're going to the right direction. I think that with the past Assassin's Creed games, and like you said, Far Cry and Division 2. And you're right. I think they don't have any negative reputation at the moment, at least. I don't think
Also-
there are any.
Yeah, also Rainbow Six Siege, they're quite well regarded for the way they've treated that game and their audience. Yeah, I think they had some balancing issues at times, but in general, Rainbow Six Siege is very successful, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
And people like the way it's monetized. I think it's monetized fairly. So yeah, well done to them. To be honest, it's nice to hear those kind of good stories about companies.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, so we'll have to look forward to that. Probably we'll see maybe something at E3, or maybe that would be an E3 2020, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it would probably be E3 next year.
Yeah. Oh well. Okay, let's move on then. Mosty, what have you got as your next story?
Oh yeah. So Jason Schreier from Kotaku put up an article this week about the making of Anthem. He basically interviewed 19 people. Well, not just 19 people, of course. He didn't go out in the street and what do you think about Anthem?
One of them was his grandma.
19 Bioware developers that were part of the project, right, to make Anthem.
Yeah.
And he interviewed them anonymously, so they could just say freely what they thought about what went wrong and everything. So it's a really good read. It's a really good article. We'll put the link down in the description in case you haven't seen it yet. I'm not going to go into details about what went wrong. I mean, basically, BioWare made some management mistakes. They were forced to use the Frostbite engine by EA, which isn't designed for RPGs. That all led to a toxic work environment, people leaving permanently, temporarily, and so on. So there's a lot to discuss there, but I think that's not what I want to do. I want to zoom in on the trailer that they made in 2017.
The E3.
Yeah, for E3. Because they say, because we now have actually some more background story to that trailer. Because back then they released this amazing trailer which has all this amazing stuff and mechanics, and they even put at the bottom actual gameplay at the trailer, right? And what turns out, what many suspected, and now turns out to be true, is that trailer was completely fake, right? like 80% in that trailer is just wasn't even developed yet.
Yeah.
It was just.
Well, the game's not even finished now, so 2 years ago they can't have had very much.
So it was so fake. It was, and that makes me think about these companies have to stop lying to us, man.
Yeah.
They have to stop lying to us, because so they showed this trailer to the public, and then even the developers, well, part of the developers of BioWare, didn't know until that moment, until they saw the trailer themselves at E3, what kind of game they were making.
Wow.
It was that's bad, man. I mean, that's.
And also the title, it wasn't going to be called Anthem. It was going to be called something else, but they had to change the name because.
Yeah, Beyond.
Beyond, that's right.
Yeah. They probably ran into legal issues with that title.
Yeah, EA said they thought it'd be too hard to
change it last minute.
Yeah. They thought it'd be too hard to get the license for that. But yeah, it's
so for me, it's just I don't understand why they keep doing these E3 trailers. Because for me, I'm not interested in that anymore. Don't sell me lies.
No.
Show me actual gameplay. That's what I want, and I think that's what other gamers want as well. Like a Nintendo Direct, where you just have a short trailer with actual gameplay, and then you can far better see whether this game is for you or not.
And I also love when developers say, they get announced games that are coming out in 3 months or coming out in 6 months. I'm not so hyped about games that get announced when they're coming out in 3 years' time or 2 years. I don't really need to know about that. And kind of Fallout 4 was really well done at the time. Bethesda had a really good reputation after their E3 trailer because they did the E3 in June. They said they're releasing Fallout 4 and it's coming out in November, which was just like 6 months later. So less than that. So that was kind of really well done. But the reason they do it is just investors, and this is taken to the extreme. So somebody at E3 would have, EA would have been like, well, we haven't got anything really to show at E3. If we don't have a good showing, our stock price will go down. So let's show a trailer of a good game, and they just made it up, and that's the only reason they do it.
I mean, I personally don't mind that because, for example, Death Stranding was shown at E3 for the first time, I think, in 2017, 2016.
Yeah.
I think 2017. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And it gets the hype up, and I was excited, and I don't mind waiting for a game like that. And doesn't matter when they show the first teaser, but what they did with Anthem was quite cheeky in a negative way, because if you don't have actual gameplay to show yet, just show a teaser maybe, or I mean, who cares? But fake gameplay is like I said, very, very cheeky.
It is, yeah.
Shouldn't be doing that.
I think calling it cheeky is very very mild.
Yeah.
That's what I said, in a negative way.
Scandalous.
It's mild.
It's
and
just outright scandalous.
Yeah.
This is lying to people. You're selling something that doesn't exist yet, and that it's not going to exist, because after that trailer was shown, they basically played catch up from then on, trying to make what was in that trailer a reality.
Yeah. Also, I read a couple of bits of this interview, and I remember reading something that correct me if I'm wrong, but before the release, it was getting closer and closer. They just had one mission ready, and
Yeah, that was in 2018.
Yeah, they just had one mission and then had to hurry up. It was
They
that's what I
basically
remember.
pumped out the game in a little over a year.
Yeah, and that's what kind
And
of
the rest of the years just went by, making prototypes, just pissing around.
That's what baffled me the most. I think that they just had one mission ready.
Yeah.
At that
What
point.
I don't understand in the whole thing is, why did the publisher, EA, not step in earlier? I mean,
step in to do
if
what?
your project is going for 3 years and you still don't have anything to show for.
Yeah. At this point, they should rather just delay the release instead of just putting a game out for that price in that state. And I think it's delaying a game causes some sort of backlash, but I think the gamers in general would definitely prefer a delay rather than a game like that for a full price.
I know. In this situation, I would say they were right to do this, because they were mucking around for like 6 years already. I think EA was completely valid to say, I don't care, you're gonna release this game right now, or in like a year or so.
Yeah, but then
because else they had no pressure to do anything.
No. But EA shouldn't do that. EA should. What I would prefer, which is completely unrealistic, they should say, right, well, this game's not coming out because it doesn't meet our standards. So this game's not coming out. And I get your point's completely valid as well, Mosty, that EA's like they've invested money, they need their money back, so you're going to release something. But just
they made good money. I mean, it's selling okay.
Yeah, but it ruins the reputation of EA further.
I can't believe that, but it's apparently they're making money on it. So.
But why would somebody like EA have their name on a game like that? You know?
Yeah, it's a shame.
Ruin the reputation even more.
It just all comes back to the thing that we said like a couple of podcasts ago, is that why did they give this to BioWare in the first place?
Yeah, because they don't make games like this, and their last game, Andromeda, was not well received. Mass Effect Andromeda. So yeah, I don't know. It's not a mess, because there is a lot to like about that game, and some people who play it do enjoy it. It's just it should have been so much more. And like Jane, you were saying about missions not being ready, and they only had one. You could kind of tell that with the final release product only had a few of the same missions that they would just cycle, and it wasn't ready. And there was something wrong between EA and BioWare, and the result was what came out.
Yeah, but I
There
think
was
the whole
even problems between the two studios from BioWare themselves, right?
Hmm.
So one studio had already experience with online games, and they tried to pass that information on to the other studio, but they just disregarded it blatantly.
Yeah.
And
well,
I hope that BioWare will learn out of this and that they actually make some changes, because it sounded like it was a horrible place to work at. And I really hope I want my games to be good, but I also want the people that are making the games do it in decent conditions and are getting paid properly. And
Yeah.
I don't want them to be exploited or anything like that. So, and I hope that this also serves as an example for other companies that have the same issue to really step up their game and take care of their personnel. God damn it.
Hmm.
everything went wrong that could go wrong, and this game should have just been. It should just bury it like the old ET game. It should
Yes.
just go to the desert and just bury it. All of the digital copies, just print out keys and bury them.
I kind of feel bad for indie developers as well, because there's lots of companies who are producing these great games. Like we talk about quite a lot of them, like Monster Sanctuary that you talked about last week, Jane. Looks awesome.
Yes.
I've been playing a cool indie game this week, and I mean, we played loads of them. And we know quite a lot about games. We read reviews and we play a lot of them. But I imagine the vast majority of people just only play an hour or two a week. They buy Call of Duty once a year or FIFA, and then they see EA advertising this huge game, Anthem, and they're like, "Oh, brilliant! I'll pick that up." And they play a bit of it, and they think, "Yeah, this is all right." But it's a shame that just because of the marketing budget, that EA will be able to push some sales from this. Like what you said, Mosty, you think it's selling, and it's a shame that some games will just get pushed to the bottom of the pile because of that.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, why is that? No, I was finished.
Because their other game, Apex Legends, right? They didn't do anything for that except give money to streamers to play it on the launch day.
Yeah,
and it worked.
But you know how much they gave to Ninja?
Yeah, but that's a fraction of what they're making, right?
No, I know,
but
in terms of advertising, they spent $1 million. They spent $1 million.
Yeah, but that's like the cheapest marketing campaign for them ever.
No, I know, it's very good. It's a very good example of marketing. You're right, absolutely.
It's also the reason why they fired some people, I think, because they now realize that a lot of the people are not needed anymore. They just give money to some influencers, and job done.
Oh yeah, I need to do a bit on Apex Legends because they paid me to play that as well, Mosty.
Damn it!
How much?
When am I gonna get
£15? I'll take that, Jane. I'll take it in a second. No,
I'll give that to you. You don't have to talk about Apex. Just don't. I'm gonna give you £15 for not talking about Apex.
Oh, deal. Yeah.
I want to share a little anecdote because you mentioned casual gamers, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like gamers who maybe purchase one game a year and don't have much time for gaming. And I think FIFA is also a game that many of those gamers pick up. And yesterday I was on the subway and I overheard a conversation. I didn't listen or anything. I was just standing next to them. And it was a couple talking about FIFA apparently. And he said, no, FIFA doesn't ruin families. It doesn't ruin lives. I think they were having an argument about FIFA ruining lives.
Oh my god.
That made me laugh. I'm sorry.
Did you hear about that parent that forced his son to destroy the PS4?
No.
Because he had bad grades.
Oh wow.
Wow. That's so wrong. Don't do
and
that.
he even filmed it and everything. It's like, oh no. Come on.
That's awful parenting.
That is
right
awful
there.
parenting. They shouldn't have bought him a PlayStation in the first place. They should have bought him a Switch. Just kidding. All right, well,
fanboy.
I am a Nintendo fanboy, yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, though.
No, I've got nothing against PlayStation or Xbox at all. But yeah, we'll probably be talking about this for
18 minutes exactly.
No, podcasts to come, loads more podcasts, just because people like these AAA companies probably aren't going to change in the short term. But for now, let's move on to a different story. And I just want to talk about really quickly, because we spoke about Steam a couple of episodes, working on review bombs on their website and working on excluding them from the scores. And there was a big story in the news. Borderlands 3 was announced, everyone's excited, and then it leaked through an April Fool's post. They accidentally posted a trailer with the Epic Store logo on it and no Steam Store. So it is going to be exclusive to Epic, which we've talked about before, and it's coming out 6 months later on Steam. So lots of people have taken it upon themselves to review bomb Borderlands 2 on Steam. And Steam has actually come out and said this is going to be the first game, Borderlands 2 will be the first game that they use their new anti-review bomb software on. So they're removing any of the reviews that have been part of this, which I think is a good thing. I think I don't think that's a very good way to express your feelings by review bombing a previous game, especially one that was so good. Like Borderlands 2 was widely received as a very, very good game. And it just distorts things on kind of not political, but just grounds outside the game.
Didn't they bring out a free remastered version of that?
Free?
When you had a copy of Borderlands, then you got the free remaster or something like that.
Yes, they have done
I'll just make that up.
I don't think it's free.
Okay.
But yeah, there is a Borderlands remastered coming out, I think. Oh, maybe it's the Handsome collection. Is that the one? That
Handsome?
Yeah, because Handsome Jack's one of the main characters in it. When did that come out? I don't know. But basically, my point was that Steam's going to be employing these anti-Steam review bomb measures, which I think is quite a good thing.
Oh yeah, I remember now what I wanted to say about that. They have to implement some kind of mechanism where we can judge the developer or the publisher instead of just the game. Like there's a way to voice that anger in a proper way instead of misusing this review thing for the game.
Yeah, and I understand people getting upset. I personally get less upset by something like this. It's not too. It is annoying. It's probably as far as I would go with this Epic Store situation. I understand why people do get upset, but I think in terms of review bombing a game, if you think of the general person who browses Steam and they see, oh, Borderlands 2, I've heard of that, and they want to look at it. If somebody said to them, oh, don't buy that because Borderlands 3 is coming out purely on the Epic Store, most people would say, oh, well, that doesn't really bother me, I'll just buy Borderlands 2. Like, I just want to play this game. So, I'm glad that they're doing it, and I just don't think it needs to be. It gets blown out of proportion, I think, in a lot of ways.
Two things about that. I wanna say that I think it's kind of odd that people are obviously pissed at the publisher and also the Epic Store. I think those are the main kind of enemies in this whole ordeal. And why are they taking it out on they're kind of taking it out on Steam though, because they're causing work for the Steam employees, kind of having to I know it's a software, but they still have to kind of clean all that stuff up afterwards,
Yeah.
I think it doesn't make sense to me that they're causing work to those people who they want to kind of support.
Yeah, but that's the only option they have. They have no other means to voice their concerns.
Yeah.
And that's why I said maybe Valve should think about some other way which would allow that.
It would make it easier, yeah. And the second thing I want to say is, if you remember last time we've spoken about this this software, I was having concerns and said how if it works properly and if it doesn't, I hope it doesn't filter out comments that are about the game. Negative reviews which aren't about the publisher but the game, and also if it detects like people kind of disguising their negative reviews about the
Oh
publisher in
no,
a negative game review.
it's a bomb, right? It's everything
Yeah, so
gets removed.
so
Well,
Yeah, sure, but
the reviews stay, but they don't count anymore, as far as I understood.
yeah, so you can still read them, Jane, but you can't. They don't count towards a score.
yeah, and that was my concern, and I was wondering if if they implemented that nicely, if that works out now.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I think it has, because what they do is they just exclude all reviews. So put good reviews and bad reviews over a certain period of time. They just exclude them all. So it should
So
work
it does
out.
work.
Yeah, it should do.
That's what was my question.
Yeah, but let me just
okay.
read you some of the reviews. This guy called Microscope, 27.5 hours in Borderlands 2, so he obviously quite enjoyed the game. His review is a downvote, and it says, "Bombs away, boom boom," as in
That was it.
as in review bomb.
Yeah, Dr. Boom.
Yeah, Dr. Boom, as in review bomb. And then there's another one's drawn a picture with two middle fingers up, Epic Store.
Yeah, that one is quite popular.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I just think it's the wrong way to go about it. And Steam looks like they're implementing good ways to get around it. We'll see. Hopefully things will change. I doubt they will, though.
Yeah, not anytime soon, I think.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
That Fortnite money is coming down from heaven.
Yes, it is.
Raining down on us.
Well, actually, now maybe we should talk about this. Just a point I was thinking about the Epic Store buying exclusives. It's frustrating because they're not funding these games themselves and making new good games. They're just kind of stealing other games that are already coming out and saying you can only buy it on our store, and that's bad. Everyone kind of agrees that the Steam needs some good competition. And what I would say, just to play devil's advocate, is what does Epic need to do, right? Like, their store's in a bad shape. They didn't launch it in a good shape. That's something they could have done better. But if you're thinking, right, we're going to come up with a new store, we need to come into this market, which is hugely saturated, but mostly within one competitor, Steam, and you say, we're going to launch a new Steam, how do you actually make that a success? Like, how could they make it a success?
Well, first of all, don't have any security issues your data, because that is number one. I don't want that. I was gonna say I don't even mind that much that games are on Epic, because I said that it doesn't even cause much of an inconvenience to just download a different launcher. I don't care. I don't even care how it looks. Just keep my data safe.
Yeah,
don't leak it anyway.
I just don't trust the company.
Yeah, exactly. That's my biggest concern with Epic. That's why I'm like, I don't even want to download or enter any data of mine, because I don't trust them.
No, and those concerns are absolutely right.
Yeah,
I think I worded my question a bit wrong. I was thinking people getting upset about them buying exclusives, which I don't like either. I don't think it's a good practice. But how? Like, if they just launched their store and you could buy all these games on Steam, people would just still buy them on Steam. I don't know. Like, GOG isn't getting huge success all of a sudden. Humble Bundle isn't getting huge success. They're not. So how does somebody become...
Yeah, but GOG also focuses on older games, right? So it never was a real competitor to Steam in that regard.
I honestly think, apart from the security issues and apart from the store looking like shit, I think, and also, like you said, kind of stealing games, Epic is doing it okayly. I think if anybody could be a competition, it would be Epic. But I just think that it's extremely difficult to be a competition to Steam, because people just don't even care that much if there's a better store out there. They want all of their games in one place.
Yeah.
I think, and that's the big issue.
There are people working on launchers. There are some available already. So one launcher to rule them all.
One that launches all stores.
Yeah,
that
you can launch your games from just one launcher. So there are some projects out there already.
But
that do that.
That's kind of my point, Jane, is that what does somebody have to do to pull people away from Steam? Like, and they're trying something. They're trying to buy up these exclusives to get people to come to their store because they think that's the right
They're
tactic.
forcing people, basically.
Yeah, and
they'd have to be Epic. There's probably no other way around that, I think.
Well,
and I
think
disagree
they're
with
doing
it.
two things correctly. They're doing two things very well. One thing is they put out a grant of 100 million, I think it was. Yeah,
yeah,
$100 million
for new games, right?
for grants. So those grants are available for whoever wants to apply and is using the Unreal Engine for any project whatsoever, game, movie, whatever,
Yeah,
and it's no strings attached. So that's awesome. I mean, that's what they have to do, in my opinion. If they want to throw money around, do it like that. Give it to indie developers that are struggling, that want to try something new. I mean, that's a really good example of doing it right, I think.
That is a good idea. And give it to BioWare to make a good RPG.
No, stop giving them money. Stop giving them money.
I know. Yeah, sorry. No, go ahead.
And the second thing they're doing correctly, I think, or is at least a good step, I think, is they're buying these indie games and then offering them for free on the launcher to the players. Whoever wants it gets the game for free. So they're offering free games every 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, which is good.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
And they're basically paying the developer a certain amount of money, and then they just distribute the game freely on their launcher, which I think is really good because so far they've picked up really good games, really good indie games.
Yes.
That deserve to be played, that deserve to get their name out there. So I think that's good as well. But for me, it doesn't make up for what they're doing wrong.
Yeah, I think whatever Epic does, they're doing it very well. It works very well, obviously. If they want to stop annoying people, they should just stop snatching games right before the release date and also work on their security issues. And I think that probably solves the major issues they're facing right now.
Yeah, I agree.
And then it could be a good
the funny part
competition.
there is that a while back, one of the employees of Epic said, "Oh yeah, we're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to do the same thing we did with Metro Exodus." And then Sweeney just said, "Yeah, we will."
At least they're honest.
Yeah. I'm sorry I derailed us a bit there. I just wanted to make the point that I think for them to break into the market, for anyone really to break into the market, they need to do something extreme, and this is kind of what they're doing. And yeah, it's not a nice situation really. I don't like the way it's come out with developers, Epic, and gamers all coming off as bad, really. And it's a bit frustrating, but hopefully all will be well in the world, and we'll continue to play good games safely. All right, let's move on then. Jane, have you got another story to talk about?
Yes, I do. Which is a game called Dreadful Bond. It's currently looking for backers on Kickstarter, and I stumbled upon it because what caught my interest was that Dario Argento, I hope I pronounced that right, the Italian horror movie director, is the creative supervisor for that game, which makes it very interesting to me. If you don't know Argento, he made movies like Suspiria and also worked together with George A. Romero on the original Dawn of the Dead. So he's also referred to as the master of horror. And like I said, he's kind of like the creative or the artistic director or creative supervisor for this game. It is a psychological first-person horror game, and they're working a lot with so-called photogrammetry, if I remember correctly. That's like they are walking around Italy because it's by an Italian little studio, and they're walking around Italy and they're taking pictures of real locations. And if they don't find a studio location, they are making props and take pictures of those and then implement those into Unreal Engine, I think, or
Yeah.
Unity. I can't remember which one.
I
But
think it's Unreal.
Yeah, that's
they
pretty
are
cool.
implementing it in the game, yeah, and it looks very awesome in my opinion. And also, I should mention what it's about first. Like, it's basically, it is kind of like a haunted mansion, is what I got from the trailer, and you're somehow reliving the past, or they tell the story by shadows on the wall. And those shadows are real actors, which they shot and then turned into shadows and implemented those in the game. So I'm very fascinated by how they're making this, and all the techniques they're using, because I've never heard of that before. And so, like I said, the story is being told by shadows, and you're basically trying to get out of this house or out of this mansion. And yeah, I like horror games, and I love horror movies. So Argento being a big part of this game, kind of, yeah, sold it to me immediately. That's why I became a backer already. So,
Oh dear.
and yes.
That's good news, I think, because I think from my experience of playing horror games and really just the genre as a whole, is they need to be quite innovative, I think, because you can just release a game in a dark place with jump scares, and I think that kind of thing can get tired. So it's quite interesting that they're looking to go through different types of techniques to make it kind of fresh in that genre. Because I think what I found with a lot of the horror games I've played recently, Resident Evil 7 was an exception. I thought that was very good. But I get really tense and scared in the beginning, and then when I kind of discover what the game's trying to do to me, it gets less scary.
Yes.
I particularly found that in Outlast.
Because they often use jump scares, and you kind of get used to them, when they're coming somehow.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's why I'm so excited for this one, because a horror movie director is working on this, so he knows exactly how to build up suspense and how to scare people and make them uncomfortable. And I hope that they are implementing exactly this into the game. And I think it's a great decision to consult the master of horror for your horror game.
Yeah.
That's just such a great idea, I think.
Yeah.
And also, like, I've been watching the trailer, and there's this one scene that kind of intrigued me the most, or fascinated me the most, which was something like something was following you or coming towards you. I can't even describe it. It was like a change of density in the air. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looked kind of weird and distorted and was following you. Don't know what it is. I mean, it looks kind of creepy, and it was
Wow.
so eerie, and no jump scares, just making you feel uncomfortable, and I got goosebumps and everything. So it was, I just love the trailer, and I love that Argento is working on this as well, and that's why I'm so excited for this. But currently, it's just 24% backed on Kickstarter. And I really hope that people, that I can somehow spread the word with this, or that it catches the attention of people and it gets back, because I really want to play this one.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I like new, fresh ideas. Hopefully, they can get it backed and actually live up to that potential, and it's not an EA, not actual gameplay footage trailer.
Yeah.
And they're promising Steam keys, so another one that Epic can pick up.
Maybe. Oh, that is
Yes.
interesting. So what's the name of the game again?
Dreadful Bond.
Dreadful Bond on Kickstarter. I'll have to go and
Yes.
check it out.
And the studio is called Claude Studio. They're an independent studio from Italy. From what I've seen, just, I don't know, like 30 people maybe working on this game, and looks like they're very passionate about it. So looks like another great horror game finally, and I'd be really excited for this one. I really hope it gets backed, and yes, that's it.
Everything is in black and white. Do you think that the actual game is gonna be
Oh yeah,
black and white? Or?
They said it's going to be in black and white. Yes,
okay,
that was another interesting fact. Thanks for reminding me of that. I forgot about that.
That is pretty interesting.
Yes, and it also, it reminds people of, also me, of these
It reminds people of
70.
you.
Weird. No, it reminds me of those 70s horror movies. Those well, they have a very
Like
distinctive
Hitchcock
look.
and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a specific term.
Ah, okay. I
It's
don't know that.
Italian, and I don't know how to pronounce it. Giallo movies?
Not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, no idea.
Anyway, it has a very distinctive look, and this game just looks like those movies, and that's what I love about it that much. So
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that one.
Mhm.
Anything else you wanted to say there?
No, that's it. Just go look it up. If you like it, maybe consider backing it. I'd be thrilled.
Jane needs
That's all.
somebody to watch play it.
Yeah,
Good, good.
exactly. No, I'd play this myself.
Good answer.
Probably.
That'll go well. All right. Let's move on then. Mosty, have you got one more story?
Yes, there was a Joker trailer released this week. So there's a new movie coming out in October in the Batman universe or the DC universe about the Joker. And I watched it and I thought it was amazing. I think it was one of the best trailers I've seen ever.
Oh
It's
wow,
so
okay.
good. And it seems like, or maybe I should say who was in it first. So Joaquin Phoenix is going to play Arthur Fleck, A. Fleck.
Okay.
And I think that's a throwback to the Batman films, right?
For Affleck.
Affleck, yeah.
Yeah. And Frances Conroy as mother, says Zazie Beetz as possibly a girlfriend, and Robert De Niro is also in the movie as a show host. And it's directed by Todd Phillips. Yes,
So
the Todd Phillips from the movies like The Hangover and Due Date.
right.
So I was a bit skeptical when I saw that.
So is this the same Joker that was in the Suicide Squad film?
No, it's not the same Joker. So it's like in a separate universe, separate from all the other DC movies that have come out.
Oh, that's quite good.
I don't really understand how that works, but apparently there are 3 different universes with 3 different Jokers at least.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe somebody else is more knowledgeable on the DC universe can explain it, or
Well, to be honest, when I heard this was coming out, the Joker, like I haven't seen the trailer, so take that with a grain of salt. But I'm not interested in watching this at all, based on the Batman vs Superman films, the Suicide Squad films. So I'm really pleased to hear that it's not the same universe. So maybe it will be good, and especially if the trailer, you say the trailer sounds good.
yeah. So this is something totally different, right? It's not really a superhero movie like that has been there before. It looks like it's more like a character study of how Arthur Fleck became the Joker. And you can see this person suffering. So it's Joaquin Phoenix playing Arthur Fleck, and to be honest, just from the trailer, I think he absolutely nailed the Joker. It's so good. But he suffers from mental illness from in the beginning of the trailer. He has a bit of an unhealthy relationship with his mother, it seems, and he's just beaten down by life. Yeah, sorry.
No, sorry, I was just laughing about what you said. His unhealthy relationship sounded like a romantic relationship.
Well,
Well,
I don't know. It's not maybe not romantic, but at least he's very attached to his mother because the trailer shows him bathing his mother and dancing with her as if she's some kind of girlfriend or something. So we have to wait and see how it plays out. But he's very attached to his mother, for
you know,
sure. His mother is very important in his life.
I also managed to watch the trailer today, actually, before we started recording. And about his mother, I thought the same. I was like, first I thought it looks like a very unhealthy relationship, but I think you can also see it as maybe his mother is ill and he takes care of her.
Yeah,
He's
that's
bathing
definitely the
her.
case. She's also suffering from
Yeah,
something.
which doesn't necessarily make it that unhealthy. Maybe he's just taking care of her because his mother doesn't have anyone else.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I have
Absolutely.
to agree with you. The trailer looks fantastic. I think the cinematography is stunning, and I'm also very excited for this one. And I also think that Joaquin Phoenix nailed this one. I mean, Heath Ledger set the bar very high, and we already saw one other actor failing at trying to live up to the standard, which was Jude Law.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
No, Leto, right?
Leto, yeah.
Yeah.
Leto.
Yes.
I don't know how to say his name, but
Not Jude Law. He doesn't have anything to do with the Joker. It was Jared Leto.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was Brad Pitt.
So
Jack
he failed.
Nicholson.
He failed in Suicide Squad. I think it was
Yeah.
not a very
Yeah.
convincing performance. And I think Joaquin Phoenix, he doesn't seem to try and imitate Heath Ledger's Joker. I think he rather tries to kind of make an homage to that Joker. And since it's also a different DC universe, like you said, you can't properly compare these two anyway. But I think also the story is very interesting, that you see what made Arthur Fleck into the Joker and how society kind of turned him into this anti-hero. And
Yeah.
also what I loved about the trailer was in the beginning, I don't know if you remember this part, was how sad he walks up the stairs as Arthur Fleck,
Hmm.
and his posture, and at the end of the trailer, how he walks down the steps as the Joker, and
Yeah.
his posture changes.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, right. As
Moment.
if it's symbolizes the downfall of him from society, but he's coming
Yeah,
out
and
of it as the
his
Joker.
his descent into madness, even when he's
Yes.
going down the stairs again.
Yeah.
And he
Exactly.
does that quirky dance.
Yeah.
So good.
It's very, yeah, it's fantastic, and I'm also very hyped for this one. But people, because you were wondering how this works with multiple DC universes, I think what people are saying is that you should probably watch this one and first of all just forget everything you know about the Joker, and then go into the movie and just
Hmm.
kind of make it a new experience. And I think that's probably good advice. Just forget everything you know about the Joker and just go in and without any expectations or any. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds good. That's coming out in this year, did you say?
Yeah, October.
Fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So another
I'm
good
very
release.
hyped.
Yeah.
I think Mosty and I are equally hyped for this one.
That's good
Yeah,
news. Yeah.
because I always liked the Joker. He's such an iconic villain.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
somehow relatable, isn't he?
Um,
Kind of.
and that makes the Joker good, right? You at some point, and I think it's especially with this Joker that we're going to see in this movie, you kind of sympathize with him
Exactly. Yeah.
because he has gone through all this pain and suffering
Yeah.
to a point where he almost like uh, starts to feed on the pain, and he needs the pain to stay alive, and he's feeding on other people. That's how I see the Joker
Yeah.
that is being portrayed in this trailer.
Yeah, that's what I meant with relatable, because I think in The Dark Knight that was the first Joker who somehow uh, gave us a glimpse into his world, his thoughts and his mind, and we started to understand the Joker somehow. And now they make him a relatable character, where we kind of start understanding why he is what he is. And
Yeah.
um,
Although I think that the Joker that Heath Ledger played was even that one was really borderline masochistic, right? He
Yeah.
got beaten up and it doesn't do anything,
Yeah.
and even not afraid to hurt himself or let people hurt him without any issues. So this one is really more you kind of sad story, right?
yeah,
It's um, because I didn't get to say that he's a struggling comedian. He's poor. He's trying to make ends meet doing these low-paying jobs, and then he gets beaten up as well. So you can just slowly see everything weighing down on him uh, for him to like break down and descend into madness.
yeah, he's an outcast, rejected by society. And even though all he wanted to do apparently was make people laugh, because you can hear him say in the beginning that that's what his mother told him. He's destined to make people laugh and to put a smile on people's faces. So I think he was really, in the beginning, he was trying to just make people's lives better, and then he gets rejected and kicked out of society, becomes an outcast, and probably that just led to him being the Joker. And
I think that's a very good narrative, because it kind of explains why he's against society, almost in an anarchistic way, trying to just let society around him burn, and he's just partying while it's happening.
Yeah, and whoever came up with that backstory, if that is the backstory, of course, because we've just seen the trailer, but whoever came up with this is a genius, in my opinion, because it works so well.
Well, the backstory kind of refers to one of the comics before, which was called.
I think I know what you mean.
What was it called? I forgot the name.
Batman?
No.
Shut up.
The Killing Joke.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
The Killing Joke also has the Joker portrayed. It's one of the origin stories that people like the most, where the Joker is also a comedian, failed comedian, and he gets sucked into crime, trying to provide for his family. So it seems like a lot of the backstory that's in this movie kind of relates to that Joker comic as well.
Yeah, well, whoever came up with that comic then is genius, I think, because it, like I said, it explains the whole Joker situation quite well. And anyway, what I also heard was that Martin Scorsese is the producer of that movie. Is that right?
Yep, that's right. And it gets even better if you want me to explain it.
Just 1 second. I just want to say, because people are saying they're getting Taxi Driver vibes and also King of Comedy vibes.
I certainly had that.
Especially with Robert De Niro as the showmaster, who was playing, I think, also showmaster in King of Comedy.
Yeah.
It kind of was, maybe that was a hint, because in the trailer we also see the Joker getting hit by a taxi. So maybe that was kind of a reference to Taxi Driver.
Yeah, it's full of references.
How long was this trailer? Like 2 hours or something?
2.5 minutes.
No, 2 minutes and 30 seconds or something. But yeah, the trailer is just full of Easter eggs and references. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Oh, that sounds
good. There's just so much to say about this movie, yeah.
Because De Niro's in this movie as well, and as you said, he played also a struggling comedian in The King of Comedy, who kidnaps a host and then forces him to get so he can perform his act on television.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of see the same thing in this movie, but in this movie, Robert De Niro is the host, and you can see Arthur Fleck, or the Joker, getting ready to come onto stage.
Mm-hmm.
In the same color suit as Robert De Niro in a red suit.
Oh, I see. That's a great reference then, yeah.
Yeah, and I also had that Taxi Driver vibe going as well.
The whole story somehow reminds me of Taxi Driver a little bit, I think. Also, we also have this outcast and who somehow takes it in his own hands to basically get back at society, both in different ways, but still. And it just makes me love the whole thing even more and get even more hyped that Scorsese is the producer, because I'm a big fan of him as a director. And
it definitely feels and looks like it's going to be some kind of Scorsese film.
Yeah, can we also talk about the music choice in the trailer? Because
that's what I want to talk about as well.
It creates such an amazing atmosphere, and just it fits so well.
Fits very well, yeah.
Yeah.
What was the music?
So it's the song "Smile," which was actually made by Charlie Chaplin for the movie Modern Times. So don't you know the song "Smile"? I'm not gonna sing it.
No, you need to sing it a bit more, Mosty. I'm not sure what you mean.
No, I'm not gonna sing it.
He was so close. So close.
And it's funny because the Modern Times movie is also referenced in the trailer. It's being advertised on a building. So there are lots of references to Charlie Chaplin. And Modern Times itself was a critique on industrialization, where people are just a cog in the machine and just being exploited. And that again fuels into the disgruntled people at the bottom at society. Uh, yeah,
I think
there's lots more stuff like that in the trailer, but not
maybe
gonna.
we should also mention that this movie seems to be set in the 70s.
Well, 70s or 80s. I think most people that I listen to were talking about it being set in the 80s, but
Hmm
I'm
I,
not quite sure.
I think it makes more sense if it's in the 70s, but I'm not sure. It could be the 80s as well. Another thing that I want to mention is the little boy in the trailer. Do you
Oh
think
yeah,
that could be little Bruce Wayne?
yeah, that's what they were saying.
Yeah,
So that's a bit different because I always thought that Batman and the Joker were sort of the same age, and clearly here there's a big age difference. So
yeah, but isn't it in the Killing Joke, or maybe a different comic, a different backstory? I mean, there are different stories about who killed uh, Bruce Wayne's parents, but there is one story
yeah,
saying Joker killed his parents, which would make sense in this kind of universe then, where the Joker is
um,
older than Batman.
yeah, I'm not sure if this is like I said, I don't know the different universes from each other.
I don't know it that well either, but I think it would be, make it even more interesting if that was little Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
They probably will be.
yeah.
Anyway,
There's
I'm very excited.
definitely something going on between the Joker and the Wayne family
Hmm
because his father Thomas Wayne is on television, and the Joker is kind of interacting with that. So there's definitely, it seems like the Joker has already some kind of problem with the Wayne family. Maybe he picks on the Wayne family because they're an example of the upper class society, the elite, looking
Yes,
down
very
on the lower
wealthy,
class
successful.
citizens. So maybe he tries to assassinate Thomas Wayne or something like that.
They seem to be everything that the Joker isn't, and maybe aspired to be, or maybe even what he despises, because young Arthur Fleck seems to be somebody who just wants to spread happiness and have people happy. I don't know. It's very interesting either way.
Yeah, put on a happy face, just comes back again and again and again.
Yeah. Also,
So
what I on the note that he scribbles in the beginning, I think. What does it say there? It says the hardest part about having a mental illness is pretending not to have one. Do
yeah,
you remember that?
yeah,
Um,
I
I've read
definitely do.
a lot of people. I remember that a lot of people
I
on the
watched the
internet are.
trailer like 10 times, so
I've also watched it many times. A lot of people on the internet are relating to that part a lot and say that they are relating to Arthur Flack just because of that note that he scribbled there.
yeah.
I just wanted to mention that as well and throw that out there. So.
Yeah, there's lots more stuff in the because the therapist he talks to
Mhm.
in the beginning is called Kane, which is the
Yeah.
name of one of the first persons people to make a comic of Batman or something like that. One of the creators, if
hmm
I'm mistaken. I might be mistaken, but it's definitely also a big reference towards the universe.
Well, I think they
I
need one
think
of
this one
these.
is.
They need a good film in the DC universe because unfortunately they've been quite disappointing recently.
Yeah. I think this one
Uh,
seems to be very deep, which is quite unusual for movies around the DC universe, and I'm
for any
here for it.
comic movie, really.
Yeah, and I'm here for it. I'm very excited. Well, to be fair, you could consider Unbreakable and Split and Glass, the trilogy, as like comic movies or uh, superhero movies,
Yeah, kind of.
and
Yeah.
they are also quite deep, to be honest. So they are quite different. But yeah, when it comes to classic superhero movies, this one seems to be the deepest so far, with the deepest and richest story. Maybe we'll see. I hope it doesn't disappoint. I'm very excited.
Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it looks so good.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if it's not good.
Yeah, me too. Well, that was a thorough analysis
No, that's good. It's good that you guys are
of a
excited about
2.5
it.
minute trailer.
I feel like I need to watch this trailer now.
You
Oh,
have
there's
to.
one more thing that I didn't mention. So it references Charlie Chaplin, right? And
Mhm.
Charlie Chaplin also used laughing gas in one of his movies,
All
which
right.
is a very iconic thing for this Joker as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, remember in the Dark Knight, he in the very beginning where he robs the bank, he puts this little thing into the employee's mouth and
Yeah.
then drives off with the bus, and it looks like a grenade, and then it looks like there's gas coming out of it rather than it exploding. Remember what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He does use laughing gas a lot. He did it a lot in the old 60s Batmans and also in the games Arkham City, I think.
Yeah,
That's
it was just the most recent one that I remembered.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Right.
yeah, something to look forward to. Another good movie on the horizon. Let's move on now. I think we're finished with news. Have you guys got any more stories?
nope.
No, that's it.
I was just going to briefly say that Green Hell is coming to Switch in Q4, which I found quite interesting because Green Hell's a good survival game that both me and you have played, haven't we, Mosty? Really enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
that's interesting that it's coming to Switch. I just wanted to mention that briefly because I didn't expect that one to be ported over, but that's pretty cool.
And when is that port going to happen? Because they haven't done a full release yet,
It says
right?
Q4 2019, so there's a bit of a
Okay,
wait.
okay.
Yeah. So hopefully that's when the full release of the early access Steam game will come out.
I
And
think
what
it would
about
be
the other game, 30 Days to Survive?
Oh,
Or
that's
what's it
been
called?
delayed for another two. It's coming out on the 9th of April now.
Oh man,
So
so looking forward to that.
you only have to wait 2 days though. 9th of April. So next podcast we'll do a review on it. Yeah, 30
yeah,
days to
for
survive.
sure. I think the Green Hell would be a great game for the Switch. I think survival games like this would be perfect for a Switch. Actually, I also think that the Long Dark would be a great game for the
Yeah,
Switch.
it would be. I'd be very surprised if they're not thinking about bringing it to the Switch at some point. The Long Dark, that is. Yeah.
They were recruiting, or they were hiring people for it
Oh right, okay. Yeah,
like a year ago already.
yeah. It'd be silly
Oh.
for them not to, really.
Yeah, maybe they were waiting for the full story. Maybe.
Yes,
Maybe
I think
they-
that's a better idea. Yeah, to do them together. All right. Well, let's move on from news now then, because we have been playing some good games. I think I'll talk about one of the games that I've been playing first. So I've been playing a really good game, and I say I've been playing. I actually finished it. I really enjoyed this game. It's called Tanzia, and it's a. What I loved about this game was I had so much nostalgia for it. It's a game on Steam, by a company called Arcanity, a developer, an indie developer, and it's like it gave me so much nostalgia to an N64 platform game. So I don't know if you guys want to look it up on Steam. It's called Tanzia, Tanzia.
I'm at it.
Yeah. And
I'm getting a bit of a World of Warcraft
yes,
vibe.
that was my next thing. Yeah, so it reminds me so much of these games I used to play and love on the N64, and also gave me so much nostalgia of World of Warcraft. And the World of Warcraft nostalgia is kind of twofold. It comes in the graphic style because it's just big, bright, colorful, chunky graphics.
Yeah, to me it looks like a mix between World of Warcraft and Banjo and Kazooie.
Yes, exactly. And I was just like, oh man, I've got to play this game. So I did get a review copy from the developers, which was very nice of them. But I've completed the game. I played it from start to finish because I think it is good. It's not going to set the world on fire. Doesn't do anything particularly new, but it's so much fun. It's just like I really love being in that world. And the gameplay is like an open world action RPG, but it's kind of not fully open world. There are certain areas that are locked until you do certain things, and then you can progress. And the enemies are really difficult in some of the other areas, a lot like World of Warcraft is. And a lot of the gameplay is set out like World of Warcraft as well. So you go into an area, and there are groups of mobs walking around, and when you kill them, they regenerate, and so it feels a lot like that kind of atmosphere. The music is really, really nice soundtrack that reminded me of World of Warcraft as well. And I just like the graphical style, the colors, and it was brilliant. So it's a story about the story's pretty basic, but it's well told. So it's told in the style of like a comic book, and they have cutscenes which are voiced. You're basically a young shaman who's going out on this adventure to save the island, and the island's under threat from the Skeleton King, basically. And the game is set on tropical islands, so these nice, beautiful settings. The graphics aren't like next-gen graphics, but it just looks really nice. It's just a really nice place to be in. I don't know how to explain that better, but just the colours and like we said, with the N64 and World of Warcraft vibe. But what's fun about it is that the combat's really well done. So I played it all with using my Xbox 360 controller on Steam, which I think is the best way to play it. And you basically, as you progress, you learn spells, and you can do the spells are mapped to your A, B, X, and Y button. And so you can put 4 spells on A, B, X, and Y when you hold down LB. And if you hold down RB, you can have access to another 4 spells. So you can get 5 spells altogether. 8 spells altogether, and they have different cooldowns. And it's just, the spells are really satisfying to learn and then do, because they just have these huge explosive like cases where you can kill sort of 10 or 15 enemies in one. Like you can kite a bunch of enemies, bring them together, and then just fire a massive fireball at them and blow them up, and it's quite satisfying. It's got loads of cool, satisfying sounds, like when you're picking up items, you collect plants and stuff to make potions. The potions have powerful effects, which is also fun. You level up, and when you level up, you can get more health and mana. You can also get limited amounts of gear, which you can buy. There's loads of like characters who have these fun kind of stories, and there's like a really good humor to the game as well. There's this one really funny bit where the guy's like, you have to go on this quest to get a staff, a magical staff, and you get there, and there's this big golem, and he's like, I've been guarding this staff for hundreds of years, expecting you to come one day, but before you can get this staff, you must beat me in combat. And he's this giant golem, and I just walked past him.
Are you saying golem or golem, like in Lord of the Rings?
Golem, as in, I say it's the same, a golem, but I call it golem.
Okay.
It's not golem, just
sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
So this big golem says, oh, you've got to beat me to get this staff. And I just walked past him and opened the chest, and he goes, are you just going to take it? You're not, what? Is he like, I'm not even programmed to deal with this. I don't know what to do. And then I just walked off with his staff. I didn't even have to fight him. So it's just like, it's, like I said, it's not going to set the world on fire in terms of what it does, but I just had a lot of fun playing it. It took me about 8 hours to do all of it. I completed pretty much all of the missions, I think, but I've completed the story and stuff and seen all the areas. So it's only like $20 on Steam, and I would very much recommend it as a fun game, but just don't expect it to be groundbreaking in terms of what it does. It's just fun gameplay, and like I said, I really enjoyed running around the world and experiencing it.
I wonder,
is there any replayability?
No, I wouldn't say there's any replayability. You can go back and get achievements, and that's about it, I would say. It's not going to be that challenging. I did die quite a few times because you do need to consider it. You do need to make sure you've leveled up and done the right things before you go to new areas. But you do get that cool feeling of getting more and more powerful and unlocking cool spells and cool potions. So, no, I don't think I need to go back to it. Sorry, Jen.
I'm sorry, bad timing. I wonder if you could play this with the N64 USB controller.
That would be awesome.
I think that would be perfect for this game.
I mean, the N64 only has one analog stick, so maybe not. But
I mean, yeah, it could work if it is anything like those old Nintendo 64 games, like
Yeah.
Banjo and Kazooie, for example, where you just needed one,
Yeah.
then a game like this would work perfectly with that one. But yeah.
So there isn't any platforming like in Banjo and Kazooie, or there is very light elements of it, but it's just the graphical style and the sounds and the music and everything that I liked about it. It reminds me of that. So a good game I would definitely recommend. Definitely check that out if you like those sort of games. Next game I want to talk about is Tetris 99. So last week, Jane and I talked about how on Twitch Prime they're giving away a 3 years online service to Nintendo. Well, if you get that, Tetris 99 is completely free, and it's a Tetris Battle Royale game. And I really, really like this game. It's great to just pick up and play a round or two. Each round only lasts like 5 minutes. A lot less if you're not very good. And you basically just play Tetris. So if you've played it before, you know how it works. But there are 100 people in the game with you, and people get eliminated, obviously, when their screen gets full of blocks. And then if you don't know Tetris, I mean, what have you been doing all your life? But if you don't know Tetris,
who doesn't know Tetris?
I know. You just have to line the blocks up, and then when a row is completely made solid with blocks, it will disappear. But as the game gets faster and faster as you play, so it's harder and harder, and then eventually your screen will get full up of blocks and you lose. And you're competing against a bunch of other people. Now, the problem with the game is there are 0 instructions to the game, like absolutely no instructions. So when you first play it, you know exactly how to play Tetris, so you're just playing it. But there's all this other stuff going on, so you can attack people. People can attack you, and they put trash at the bottom of your, like trash blocks at the bottom of your screen. So it pushes you to the top. So if you're getting attacked by more than one player, you can quickly go from being quite safe to being right near the top of your screen. So it makes it really hectic. And it's got the old classic Tetris music, and when it goes past the last 50 players, it goes much quicker. All I can say about the game really is if you like Tetris, go and play it. I've really enjoyed it. I haven't won a game yet. My best score was 7th, but that's because I don't understand how to attack other people yet. There must be a way. But yeah, it's really cool, really frantic, fun Tetris, and it's free if you have Nintendo Online, so I would recommend that. I think you might like it, Jane. You played Tetris, didn't you?
Yeah, I played a lot of it. I was about to say that I also got the free Nintendo Online service, and there's this one game I can't remember the name of, but it's kind of similar to Tetris. I mean, it's a Yoshi game, and there are kind of like some cubes falling down, and on the bottom you have Yoshi, and you have to turn him around, and he has his hands with the, I don't know how to say it, spread out, and with the palms of his hands facing up, and you can twist him around. So you kind of the boxes that have fallen down, you kind of can twist them around. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you have to somehow match those boxes with the boxes falling down, and then you get some Yoshi eggs, but just a half, and you have to match them with the bottom half of the egg, and then I don't know how to explain that. But I've been playing that as a kid a lot and never got how to play it. And now I stumbled upon it again and played it for a while, and it's so hectic. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I got a pretty high score actually, because I was playing for like half an hour, I think, and still didn't die, and that kind of reminded me of that right now.
And that's on Nintendo Online as well, is it?
Yes, and I was so excited when I saw it, because I remember playing it as a kid and getting super frustrated because I was just too dumb to play it, actually.
I'll have to have a look, because I didn't recognise that game.
It's super hectic, yeah.
But yeah,
it's funny. You should look it up.
Yeah, I will do, yeah. That's quite cool. So yeah, Tetris 99, check it out if you've got Nintendo Online. And the final game I want to talk about briefly, I can't say much about this because I've only played about an hour of it, so if you're interested in the game, don't take my negative opinion of it too seriously. But Elder Scrolls Blades is a new mobile game that's just come out, and yeah, so it's basically from Bethesda, a new mobile Elder Scrolls game. So I had zero expectations of this game because it was going to be a mobile game, and also I'm not a person who minds them bringing out this game. If they want to make a mobile game of this, then great. I was actually, I had no expectations, but I was looking forward to trying it out. Unfortunately, my experience of it hasn't been that good. So I downloaded it last week. I heard it was out, and I downloaded it. Right. Then I had to. So first of all, I had to update my iPad to iOS 11. Then I had to download the game. Then I had to start it up, and it asked me to log into BethesdaNet. Then I logged into BethesdaNet. Then I sat through an intro, and then it said, "Oh, we're restricting access right now, so not every, so come back later when you can play." I was like, "What?" So,
They're in a queue.
Yeah, no, not even a queue. They called it early access, so everyone could download it, but only certain players could play it. So anyway, yesterday they eventually said everyone can play it, so I logged in, and my first impressions of it is it's a 3D game like you expect from the Elder Scrolls, but I've got an iPad Air 2, which is probably 3 years old now, 4 years old.
Older.
I think I bought it in 2015. Yeah, iPad Air 2.
Yeah, that could be right, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, the game looked pretty ugly. It might look better on a smaller screen. Like, I understand they're doing this huge, 3D world, so maybe the graphics can't be that good. But I've seen better mobile games, basically. It looked very... you start in this forest, and it looked very muddy and kind of not that great. So to move around, you can either tap on the screen to a location where you want, or you've got virtual thumbsticks. And the problem is the turning circle was really not that good. It took ages. You'd have to be swiping your thumb just to try and turn. And I couldn't find anywhere in the options to adjust that. Combat, what happens is if you meet an enemy, you zoom in on them, and you can block by pushing your left thumb on the controller, bringing up your on the screen, bringing up your shield, and then you hold down and release your right finger on the enemy to attack them, which it felt a bit clunky, to be honest. It didn't feel that fun, and it seemed like you could only attack one enemy at a time. But the music's there, the sounds are there, it all sound pretty good. So I was like, okay.
The monetization is there.
Yeah, well, I'll get onto that. And then I got a little bit disappointed that the game isn't open world, so it's not like you're walking around from place to place. You get to this main hub, which is basically your hometown, and it's just been burnt down. And you select a mission from there, and you just warp to the dungeon, and then you're suddenly in a dungeon, which I found disappointing. I understand there's mobile limitations, but I was expecting there to be some kind of open world you could walk around in. But anyway, that's by the by. It was the dungeons are quite atmospheric. It's interesting, but when you collect gold, and it's got that, it flashes across the screen. It's like ching, ching, gold flying into your inventory, just like a mobile game. Yeah,
that's what Bethesda constantly sees in front of their eyes.
Yes,
money flashing, collecting coins. Bling, bling, bling.
Well, I'll go on to monetization, but I'll say I don't think it's awful. I don't think it's great, but the way they handle monetization is when you're in a dungeon, you find chests, and you can find different values of chests. So if you find a wooden chest, you can basically just open it. You have to wait 5 seconds to open it, which is dumb, but you do. So you open it, and you get some small loot. If you get a silver chest, from what I can understand, you have to wait 3 hours until you can open it. Or you can pay gems to open that chest. And the gems cost real money. You buy from the store, and you can spend up to $130 on some packs of gems, which is crazy. But I don't really mind this too much, because if I was going to be playing this game, I'm the sort of person that I would just collect a bunch of chests, and then 3 hours later I would open one of them, and then I'd come back to it. And I don't mind playing mobile games like that. I don't mind them having that kind of restriction, because it encourages you just to put them down and pick them back up again later. And I don't think it's too predatory in some way, as it could be in other ways. But each of the chests are very much just loot boxes. You open them, you click on something, and it flashes up what you get, and then you click on the next thing, and it flashes up what you get. But ultimately, it didn't grab my interest, to be honest. It looked like the hub world where your town's been built down. It looked like there's a big mechanic where you can rebuild that town. So you collect wood and gold in the dungeons, and then you can rebuild certain parts of your town to give you more upgrades.
I mean, you said you don't mind waiting for the chests to open, and I get that with games like what's it called? Those point and click farm kind of games on the App Store. I don't mind that either, because you just wait until, I don't know, you can
jump
collect
back in,
milk again from the cows or something like that. But in that case, I think I would be honestly a little bit annoyed, because it just ruins the flow of the game, I think. I mean, to each their own. And also what I wanted to say is about the controls is I wouldn't be interested in that game in the first place, because if it's not a point and click, I'm not interested to play it on my iPad or my phone, because it's just not. I don't know. I just can't work with the iPad controls. Like
No.
a touch screen joystick just doesn't work for me. I don't know.
No.
I wouldn't be interested anyway.
Ultimately, I think they implemented the controls quite well, but you're right. It's still, you're playing on a iPad, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the controls. I think they were just limited by the fact that it is a mobile game. So, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be playing any more of it. It's basically, like I said, I didn't play enough of it. Maybe you could get into it and enjoy it more and upgrade it. But for me, it seems very much just play this game, give us lots of money for chests kind of thing.
Speaking about giving us lots of money, did you hear about the latest news about Fallout 76?
No.
So they added repair kits to the Atomic Store.
Oh, good.
So
you can repair the game.
You wish. You can repair your gear, but basically they're going back on the promise they made, because they always said the transactions in the store would be cosmetic, and this one totally isn't. So they're lying.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
the other thing is that
right?
they made it a store item to repair your gear, and they go about it as like, yeah, people have been asking for repair kits, and so we decided to add it to the game.
But can you only buy them with? Can you only buy them with real money, or can you buy them with?
No. So the basic one you have to buy with store credit with the atomic stuff. I'm not
so
sure.
that's real
Atoms,
money.
yeah.
That's real money.
So
yeah.
Yeah, you can get atoms through the game as well.
Oh, okay, right, gotcha.
By doing challenges, but that, yeah, basically it's a consumable which is linked to real money. And then the upgraded version of the repair kit is an item you can only get in the game. So that's better, but still, just even first of all they lied about not adding only cosmetic stuff, and second of all they linked this stuff to the repair kits to real money.
I mean, yeah, I kind of expected
and
that
they
when
kind of opening the door to other stuff, because they were talking, yeah, we might add some refrigerators and stuff like that as well, so you can buy those as well. So it's just opening the door to more of that play to win stuff.
Well, for those people still playing it anyway.
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't surprise me, since this one guy found out. We were talking about this. Some files were that hinted towards implementing such stuff like that into the store. So I completely expected that. That's why, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
not surprised.
Yeah.
Well, with Elder Scrolls Blades, what I would say is I didn't expect much, but it didn't grab me. But it's free, so give it a go.
That's where we are with Bethesda. We don't expect much anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, the technology did look kind of impressive in some ways, but there was a bit where at the start of the game you fight your first person, like this. You fight this guy, and I killed him, right? And then there's his mate standing 2 feet away, didn't even move, and then I just walked up to him, and then he goes, "Where do you think you're going?" And I'm like, "Well, I just killed your mate. Did you not see?" It's right next to it. So yeah, for me, it looked quite impressive in some ways, but I'm not going to go back to it. So that's what. But if you're interested in it, I didn't play very much of it, so feel free to give it a go.
I was considering of trying it out.
Yeah, I don't want to discourage anyone from playing it because I think you could play it without spending real money. But anyway, let's move on. What about you, Mosty? So, Jane, have you got anything you wanted to talk about in this section, or just the?
No, I mean, like I said, I played this weird Yoshi game, and also the Ice Climbers
Oh yes.
on the Nintendo Online service, and well, that sent me back to my childhood, and I love that game. But other than that, I didn't get to gaming a lot this week, unfortunately.
No, that's
So,
okay.
so what is the online service actually? Is that like a subscription that gives you access to certain games, or?
So
It gives you access to play with others, so it's like the Xbox Gold service, I think it's
Oh,
called.
you need to pay to be able to play multiplayer.
yeah,
Yes, but it's way cheaper than the Xbox Gold Life, whatever it's called, and because it's $20 a year, which is fine, I think. And also you get to play a lot of old Nintendo games for free online. So
All right.
with that service, so I think that kind of makes up for it, I think.
yeah, I think they've done it in a good way. It's frustrating that you now have to pay, but competitors do it. And what I would say is, to me, Tetris 99 is worth that $20 already. It's just Tetris, but it's fun. I'm going to be playing.
I thought you were against battle royale games.
Not really. No, it's only because I'm bad at them. This is a battle royale that I can actually play. I got to 7th, Mosty. That's 6 9-year-olds who have beaten me. I just need to get past the last 9-year-old.
Just beat them up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well. Yeah. It was interesting to hear about that Yoshi game and Ice Climbers too, because I know Ice Climbers. I've never played it though. I know them mostly from Smash Brothers, but I'll have to
You
try.
should use the opportunity and play it now because it's great.
All right. Well then, Mosty, let's go to you. What have you been playing?
I've been playing some 2D spatial puzzle games. So
Awesome.
the first one is Shift Quantum.
Tetris. No.
That's not oh yeah, that's a spatial puzzle game actually.
Sorry,
Right.
Mosty.
So
Shift
Shift
Quantum.
Quantum got released in 2018.
Okay.
It's made by an indie called Fishing Cactus. They made some other
That's a great name.
That is a
Yeah.
great name.
yeah, and they made some other games that I know of. So Epistory Typing Chronicles is an adventure game where you type your way through the adventure. But
That's
sort
the
of a
game I
typing-
recommended. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the game I recommended to you, Jane, with the fox, where you're riding a fox.
I can't
Right.
remember.
No, I know you can't because you don't listen to me.
And,
Sorry, Bossy. I keep that obvious. Shut up now.
And the other game is Algobot, which is also my wish list. That's a game about programming, more like visual programming, like how to learn it and everything like that. So that's interesting as well. And so the Shift Quantum itself is a spatial puzzle game, 2D. It's got a black and white and gray vibe to it, so everything is black and white or gray. And you basically have to move from the door you enter to the door you exit. So you always spawn in a certain puzzle. You start at the entrance door and you have to get to the exit door. And you do that by moving around, of course. And you move around on the black areas. So everything that's black initially is the stuff you can walk on. But as soon as you shift into the other plane of existence, it's gonna flip white and black and vice versa. So the colors flip around and also the world turns upside down. So it's absolute mindfuckery. You, it's the first time it happens, you just I couldn't really grasp what was going on. It was so so weird. But after a while, after a couple of puzzles, you start to see, okay, if I do this, then I will be able to walk there, and then I can flip back over, and so gradually you also get newer mechanics, like you have to move boxes around, and you have to uh, pull switches to turn out things on and off and stuff like that. It's amazing game. I absolutely love this game. This is really my kind of thing. Um,
I like puzzle games. Like, did I tell you about Tetris?
yeah, you did.
I don't think you did.
Yeah, this sounds good, Mosty. I do genuinely enjoy puzzle games.
It,
Like,
ha
I often overlook them, but
it has a
yeah.
very unique look as well. So the backdrop of this puzzle is this futuristic city where you see flies flying by, cars flying by, maybe flies as well. I
Very
couldn't tell.
futuristic, seeing flies flying around.
It's a robotic fly. It's a drone.
It does look pretty cool. I like the graphical
It
style.
has a very unique look to it. A very nice aesthetic, I feel. And the puzzles are challenging as well. Um, I really enjoyed this game and highly recommend this. I played with the controller, so my controller is Xbox compatible. So it's a Logitech F7,
Okay.
F17. Um, you can also play with the Steam controller or with keyboard and mouse. No, with keyboard, just with keyboard. So lots of options. And the thing is, you go through this branch, which has all these different puzzles, but you don't have to go through the entire branch to move on, because a lot of these games, you when you're stuck in the level, you're stuck completely and you cannot move on. So in this one, once you unlock a branch, you can still move on to the next one if you get stuck at some point. So I thought that was really good as well. And yeah, I played it for, I don't know how long did I play it? A couple of hours, and I'm at 15% because the game also indicates how far you are in the game. So I think the playtime kind of corresponds with the price they're asking for it. It's marked at 20 euros or $20. I
That's pretty
think
good.
I think it's worth that price, to be honest.
And I think
It's fairly
interesting,
very high quality game.
and also important to say looks like there's a free demo on Steam. So if you're interested, you can
Yeah,
just go and check out the
yeah.
demo on
Try out the
Steam.
demo. What else did I want to say about it?
I do agree on the aesthetics. It looks great, yeah.
So it goes on sale quite regularly as well. So the price is an issue. It goes on sale like 50% really often. So just put it on your wish list.
Just looking at this, it's a shame it's only got 17 reviews. So
Yeah,
it's
it's really a shame because this game is really really top notch.
yeah.
It also
I
has
mean,
an editor, so you can make your own levels or play
oh, that's
other
cool.
levels from a workshop from others.
It's a
Um,
shame, yeah, because it looks like they put a lot of effort into that game, and unfortunately, those games are most of the times somehow overlooked. And
this
yeah,
game
Well,
definitely deserves some more attention because there is also a sort of replayability. Because for on each level, there is also a certain spot that has a scarf that you can go to and pick it up. So it's like an extra item you can pick up. It's like a completionist thing.
oh, I see. So you have to
So you could
do a
go
bit of
through
a
all the
harder
levels,
puzzle.
play everything, finish it, and then you could replay it just to get those extra items to complete it and have a completely new experience because it makes it even harder to complete it by
So
finding this extra spot.
it does look good. I'm looking at some of these reviews. This guy's reviewed it. He's got 5,048 games on his account.
That's big. And
That's not me.
and then the next guy's got 4,516. So this is
Yeah,
people who
I'm in
have a
good
lot of games
company.
like this. Yeah.
I've also been looking at the reviews, and people are calling it a piece of art and one of the greatest puzzle platformers they've ever played. So those are
Mm.
great reviews, and
Yeah.
definitely one more reason to check it out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that one, Mosty.
So when I was playing Shift Quantum, yeah, and the other thing I wanted to mention,
Oh,
apparently
sorry.
Quantum Shift was taken like this for the name.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
There had to be Shift Quantum.
yeah. But when I was playing this game, it immediately reminded me of another game called The Bridge, which has been released in 2013 or 2012. I'm not sure yet. 2013, okay. Which is a similar kind of game, also 2D puzzle game with spatial awareness, but it has a surrealistic theme to it. So like buildings folding up into each other, and you have to like twist the world around to alter gravity. It's quite similar, um, but it's with a totally different look and feel to it than Shift Quantum, but also a very excellent game. And the art is hand drawn, so it's very unique. It's very I like it a lot. So a little bit cartoony look to it,
Yeah.
and those puzzles are quite hard as well. I
That
think there were about 40 puzzles in the game, 48 puzzles in the bridge, and it's really cheap. It's at the moment it's even at 75% off.
Oh yeah, I just saw that, and I've been looking it up on Steam right now, and I was wondering if it's a reference to that that picture by MC Escher, but I just read it in the description that it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, I like that part.
Yeah. I mean, The Bridge was a huge game when it came out. Not huge, but like it was one of the, I want to say, one of the pioneering indie games when indie games became kind of a bit more mainstream. People, I remember this. I never played it myself, but I remember this one being one that people highly regarded as a very good game.
So yeah, the bridges comes in at 10 euros, and it goes on sale quite often as well. And definitely because it's an older game, you can find it at 75% off quite often.
Yeah, it's on sale right now. Yeah.
And then the last thing I wanted to mention was a game called Nova Drift that I mentioned a couple podcasts ago. It got released on Steam in early access, and they put up a roadmap because that seems like the cool thing to do nowadays.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's a decent roadmap. It indicating, when they're gonna add certain modes to the game. It's still not quite clear to me what each mode is going to be, but at least there's a clear view of when they're gonna develop what. And it seems really solid. And the price is 15 US dollars or 12.50 euros.
So
So
that's cheap.
very acceptable price, I feel.
So
If you do be worried about the price and the content, maybe you can wait a little bit longer. But yeah.
what's like the main feature of the roadmap? What's the most important thing you're looking forward to for that?
Well, the campaign that I was really looking forward to is all at the end, it seems.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I'm not
That's
quite sure what the other modes are. Um, but
no,
there's
but that game
which
looked good.
each iteration there's going to be a new mode and new abilities, new cosmetics, stuff like that. So every update is going to be great, I think.
Awesome. Yeah, that one looked nice. Actually, I like that. I watched your YouTube video of that game. Was it on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you've been playing, Mosty?
No, I didn't have much time because I was sick this week. So
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you back with us, Mosty, this week.
Yes.
Hopefully
Agreed.
you can completely get over your sickness by next week. You sound okay at the moment. Right. Well, was there anything either of you wanted to cover forward for the past week, Jane? I think you said everything, didn't you?
Yeah, I've said everything.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's probably a good time to end the podcast. We've been going for a couple of hours now. So thank you once again to everybody for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Once again, if you do have any questions for us about anything related to the podcast or anything else you'd like to know, do let us know in the comments or send us an email. We've got all of our links in the description. You can also follow us on Twitter. And if you want to find me, my name's Aerosounds on twitch.tv/Aerosounds. And Mosty, where can people find you?
I'm Mosterdpot on Twitch and Mosterdpot TV on YouTube.
And you just go from sometimes you're in England, sometimes you're in Australia, sometimes you're in Belgium.
Yeah,
You just never know where to find him.
a lot.
Online. Online's the best place to find him. And Jane, you've got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, to which I haven't uploaded anything for the walkthrough of that one game.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for doing the podcast with me again, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a goodbye from me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye from me.
Yeah, bye-bye, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.